Hey guys, just 1 second. I haven't been able to wear this since the Conjuring 2 review, so I just wanted to put it on. This movie still sucks, by the way. I wanted to wear this. Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of The Bye-Bye Man. Probably the stupidest titled movie I've seen since Kung Fu Panda. And to be frank, this movie sucks. I don't know how else to put that. It's not very good, and if you want to talk about it, we'll continue on, but if you're just here to get that out of the way, just know that it really sucks. But that's not just what this show is. The show is actually discussing about it. What makes it crap? Well, let's start with... Oh, don't worry. This section will be short. Because the only thing really good about this movie is kind of the concept. The Bye-Bye Man is based on a novel called The Bridge to Body Island or something like that. Personally, that probably would have been a better title, but you know what? This title has given us all the wonderful memes, so I guess it wasn't the worst title. It really is, though. The concept of the Bye-Bye Man is that he's basically a disease. An idea that spreads from person to person once you hear his name or read it. And once you've read his name or know it, he's in there. And he's trying to get you to think about him and say his name. And the more you do, the closer he gets. Until he can finally do something to you. I emphasize the word something because it's really not clear what he does, other than drive you crazy. Now, the whole driving you crazy thing could have potential. It's just that, we know next to nothing else about him other than, oh, they're crazy. And nothing really comes of it. But the idea itself is basically a combination of the monster from It Follows, being spread by some sort of disease, although in this case it's more like a bacteria or influenza type thing. And Freddy versus Jason, where they're trying to get rid of Freddy by making sure no one knows him or remembers him. They kept giving the kids the hypnoseal and putting them inside of comas so his influence couldn't spread. It's basically that, plus It Follows in a blender with a little bit of Inception. That's about it. And personally, it could have worked. Except... Okay, so to start this off, the thing that neuters this movie the most. It was originally slated to come out last October with a rated R. And that lack of an R kills any kind of potential enjoyment you have out of this film. This movie needed the balls to show you the gory material that was going on around it. The hatchet killing, the massacring of the kids, the visions of nude people with disfigurements and things that it only briefly shows you in this movie. There's a couple of times where people are seeing people bleeding from their eyes and their mouths with eyes torn out and gouged and things. And it only shows you for maybe 2 seconds before cutting it away. And even that 2 seconds is heavily CGI altered colored blood that's blackened to make it a PG-13. That's all it is. It's a PG-13 piece of shit now. And it had balls. It had them. But the studio neutered them so that they could market to a wider audience and release it on Friday the 13th because scary movies. Fuck. Oh, by the way, I'm telling you guys all about this, Bye-Bye Man, and repeating his name over and over and over again. So apparently you're all infected and are going to go crazy and die. I just thought of that. I just thought that needed to be said. But what's even worse than the neutering that clearly is going on is the fact that nothing about the Bye-Bye Man really makes sense. if you even try to think about this, it doesn't. At all. Because there are characters, the whole knowing his existence, knowing his name, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it. The only ways you can not give him power, it doesn't really hold true, because there are characters that do know about him. They just don't know the name specifically, but they know enough about him, and they believe in him. Therefore, the idea should be there, and they should be instantly drawn towards his name, because he's able to affect things in people that don't know his name. Like the whole coin thing with the little kid, and her still with the CGI dog, still seeing her there and following her. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? There's train imagery everywhere, and I'm not even kidding. There's tokens that get you on a train dropping from nowhere. There's him showing up on a train every now and then. A dream sequence with the kids butt naked standing in front of a train as it's about to run them over. Which we only see for 2 seconds. We only see their butts because PG-13. But what does that have to do with anything? They never actually do anything with a train except for the one girl that gets tricked into running in front of the train because she sees a flipped over car with people bleeding and climbing out of it. Okay, what the fuck does that have to do with the Bye-Bye Man? Don't worry, it'll all be explained in the sequel we know is coming because this released on Friday the 13th, and teenagers are fucking idiots. Yes, heaven forbid that you go home and spend Friday the 13th watching a good scary movie like, I don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street. Granted, there are plenty of bad ones in this franchise too, but you could have watched the original, is all I'm saying. No, instead, let's watch a piece of shit jump scare fest that's been sexually neutered because they didn't want an R rating. With nothing that makes sense, the acting is laughable inside of the film. Oh, let's talk about that. Look, I'll give credit to the kid who plays Elliot. This is not an easy role to play. He actually does try to balance, the going crazy bits with his, being a person. And there are times where it does actually work. Most of the time it does, and especially when he's driving his fucking car with the radio blaring because apparently he can't go to sleep. Why would sleep even be a problem here? You're trying to keep yourself alert, I guess? But how can that be if he can mess with your head? It's up to you to recognize that what you're seeing in front of you isn't real and to, acknowledge that it's not real. But that doesn't even work because you run down a girl who heard his name, for some reason. I don't know. God. Although that guy's acting is okay in the film, everybody else's is pretty stupid. The female lead in here gets basically nothing to do but lay in a bed. I'm sick. Because he's diseased, get it? So I'm coughing and I'm having the flu all the time. And then, of course, there's his buddy, who is the typical jock who totally shouldn't be friends with this guy. And they're fighting over the girl because crazy, and he's not admitting that he's seeing shit because heaven forbid that you acknowledge there's something wrong with you. God, stupid rated out jackass. And let's not forget the worst of the bunch, the best actress in the film, the lady who played Trinity, who was also in Jessica Jones recently. She's in here as a police detective investigating this shit, who lets key suspects go, even though they have evidence that puts them involved. Even the movie calls her out on this, and she still doesn't get punished. That's just saying. Miss whatever your name is, because I don't want to pull out my phone and look it up and record because I have to leave, whatever. Whatever your name is, Trinity, I don't know who you pissed off, but you should probably go make amends so you don't have to do this piece of shit again. I'd hate to see you in the sequel that we know is going to happen. But what's worse over all of this is just the laughable writing. I've already talked about how Bye-Bye Man doesn't make any sense when you consider anything he does, because he doesn't really do anything. He's on the level of Bagul for just standing there looking scary. But when you actually look at the writing itself, it's amateurish. Now, I know that Jeremy Johns in his review did point out a scene where the brothers talk and have to introduce themselves as, "You're my brother!" Ah! But that's not the stupidity of that scene. No, apparently that one moment where the older brother says, "My bro!" You know, like no person would ever really say to Elliot, isn't the only way they thought you were too stupid to get that. So right after that, his little girl comes up, "Uncle Elliot!" and proceeds to give him a hug. Whereas his older brother's wife then comes out of the truck and says, "You know, your brother does a lot for you, Elliot. You should really appreciate what he's doing." So this movie just took 3 separate actors, 3 separate sentences to establish that Elliot and this other guy were brothers. Apparently, this is the intelligence of the teenage demographic, people. I hope that you teenagers out there start to realize why you should go see real horror movies and not shit like this. Or Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, but that's another thing. And what's even worse is that the whole movie sequel baits not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times! 3! How many times do you need a sequel bait? The first scene is with the aforementioned brother and his daughter driving away after Elliot has shot himself. That's not a spoiler. How else did you think this was going to end? It's an idea. You have to either kill it in yourself or else it never dies. They established that in the first 20 minutes of this movie. But they're driving away after Elliot shot himself, all sad, and they're saying, "Oh, I wish I could have said goodbye to him." And then the daughter says, "Well, at least he left me these tokens." "Where did you get those?" "Oh, they were inside of the lamp desk that was sitting next to the trash. 'Cause I'm a kid, I can go through trash and it doesn't seem weird." By the by, the lamp desk is where they actually found the name Bye Bye Man carved in it by the previous owner, who we saw shoot himself and a bunch of people on a killing spree to stop the Bye Bye Man at the beginning of the movie, which admittedly is the best part of the movie. And there was writing in it too. Well, what did the writing say? "Silly Dad, I can't read in the dark." That's the first sequel bait scene. The second sequel bait scene is ominous music playing as they dramatically reveal that the lampshade has survived the fire. Oh, and then the third and final sequel bait, they managed to pull Jock McDouche ass out of the fire, somehow alive after being stabbed repeatedly in the face and burned alive in the main fucking room that was set on fire. And he's repeating "Bye Bye Man" over and over and over again, so muttered and quiet no one can hear, until Trinity comes along and says, "No, wait, back away. I know he needs medical attention, but you have to hear this. What are you saying? What are you saying?" God damn it. We know there's going to be a sequel. It made more than its money back, so let's just move on. Yeah, this movie gets an honest to God fuck it from me. And I don't think that the sequel is going to get anything other than that, because it's shit. Any potential this movie had was neutered the second they wrote PG-13 on it. You want to know what the worst thing about this movie is? The absolute fucking worst thing about this movie. I saw this movie because I need to let out some anger and I need to eviscerate something. And although I could do that, it was not the worst thing I've ever seen in the horror genre. Not even close. Seriously, Sinister 2 is so much fucking worse than this, even though they do share similarities. I'm more disappointed that this is what studios think is a good horror film these days. Honest to God, this movie is shit. It gets the honest to God fuck it from me, but I wish it was worse. Because if it was worse, then I could at least say they weren't trying. But the filmmakers were clearly trying. The actors were just given something that was unworkable. The CGI dog is complete bullshit. And honestly, I just don't know how this could have been saved, even with the R rating, should be told. But that is what fucking killed it. So, yeah. That's it for me. Have you seen the Bye Bye Man? Memes, I'm not going to ask about the movie. I'm just going to ask about the memes. Tell me what you thought about them in the comments below, and maybe we'll get some healthy discussion, because talking about those memes is certainly a lot more productive than talking about this movie. And as always, if you like what you saw, be sure to hit the like button, the share button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell next to the subscribe button so that your phone gets notified every time I do a massive upload, because I'm going to totally do that every 5 minutes. What the hell, YouTube? And as always, follow me on the social medias, the Facebook, the Twitter. I will be doing some scheduled stuff on Twitch here. I just need to actually write down the schedule for it and figure out what days I can and can't do that. It'll be about once a week is my general thought, but more on that on a channel update I'm going to be doing here in the next little while. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that's it for me, so I'll see you all next time. Hopefully with a good horror film to actually use this in.